Hi, friends, and welcome to episode 18 of the Stoked to Have You podcast. I'm your host, Amy, and I am so stoked to have you. And guys, I am so stoked because we have a special guest today, my friend, Kelsey Cally. And Kelsey is not only a wonderful, absolutely delightful human being, she is an acting coach. She does scene study. She started her own business where she's basically like a studio, and you can go to for advice, for skill like practicing. We talk a lot about acting. I get to ask her a bunch of questions. It's very exciting for me. And we talk about the superpowers of dyslexia. We talk about inspiring others and creating community, working in the service industry. We talk about a whole bunch of things. And I left this conversation feeling just so invigorated. And so I'm really excited for you guys to listen. And yeah, without further ado, here's Kelsey and I. Hi.
Hi.
So good to have you.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm stoked to have you.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So, Kelsey, how we met
Yes.
is how
So we met. Yeah. Coffee. The coffee world. The coffee of it all.
you trained me.
I did.
It was wonderful.
Good. I'm glad it went well.
We bonded over puppets.
We bonded over puppets. Still do.
We still do.
Absolutely.
Have you ever worked with puppets?
I have. Yes. I actually trained with a very famous company. I believe I don't know if they're together anymore. Forgive me if they still are, called Handspring Puppet Company, who back in the day did shows like War Horse on Broadway. Do you remember that with the horse? I'll send you a video.
Oh my gosh, yes, please
They're a
do.
South African company, and they came to my school and trained us. So
Oh my gosh.
I got to study with them. I've studied different forms of mask and clown, which often include puppetry.
What does that mean?
Like the art of clowning, if you will, and then the art of mask, which is many different things. I specifically studied something called le coq, which is like a neutral mask, like
Like a hole is covering your
yes,
face.
and there's physicality to it, and
So
kind
how to,
of
like,
rules to it,
Express
Yeah.
emotion without face.
Exactly.
Oof.
Yes. So yes, I've ventured in and out in many different ways.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Easy start. Yes.
you recently opened a business
I
for acting coaching
Yes.
and scene
Study.
Study.
Yes. So basically, I'm an acting studio, and I teach and I coach actors.
I love
and artists.
this.
I love it.
I also love the shout outs you give everybody. It's very sweet. Yes. Because I'm like,
I try.
I love it.
My big thing is like community. And it's funny that I often find myself in many different jobs that are also focused on that, like how we met at a coffee shop we work at. And when I first got into coffee, I lived in LA, and it was a very similar circumstance. I like walked down my street and I found a coffee shop hiring, and I was
goodness.
like, "Can I work here?" And luckily, the woman who's running it was a dancer, so we connected on it because I had no coffee experience.
Love that.
And then I was trained at Stumptown and all this. Big
Oh my gosh, that's
places.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
Stumptown
truly, I
is so
stumbled in
good.
because it was in my neighborhood. So it was the same thing. I got to know all my neighbors and the people in town, and I loved it so much that I wanted to find that again when I moved here.
Oh, heck yeah. Okay, let's take a step back and back in time. So how did you get into acting?
Yeah.
And like, I guess, did you start in like grammar school or high school?
I got into acting. So my mother was a ballerina most of her life until her 30s. She was. So she kind of pushed me towards the arts. I have an older brother and sister, and she tried as well, but they're much more athletic than me and kind of went down that
Different athletics. I mean,
different
yeah.
athletics. Yes. So she took me to my first play when I was 6. Pause. She took me to my first play when I was 6, and while I was watching it, I was upset. I can remember actually that moment. I don't remember what the play was, but I can remember seeing kids on stage my age. And after, she was like, "So what did you think?" And I said, "I love it, but next time I want to be up there." And that truly was like the beginning. So when I was 6 years old, I feel like I found my
You were like, this is
calling.
my calling.
Yeah. And
I
ever since
love
then, she put me into kind of community theater. So anything like, the libraries would be doing, or the local, it was called the community house where I grew up. So they had all the, stuff that was going around town. So she put me in all that stuff. I did 1 or 2 plays or musicals a year since I was 6 until now, really. I mean, give or take here and there.
That's
Yeah. So all throughout middle
man.
school, high school, then I went to undergraduate for theater performance, and then graduate school for acting.
Wow.
So
So
my longest love.
that's amazing. So that's like a lot of experience. And so how did you know you wanted to get into like coaching?
Yeah, that
Because not everybody can teach or coach or like.
you are absolutely right.
Yeah.
I say that I stumbled into coaching. I didn't mean to be a teacher. So, backstory to this, I'm highly dyslexic. I think I've shared that with you before. So, when I was growing up, I always had this fear of teaching, probably because I wasn't, in my own schooling, I wasn't offered always the best practices that worked for me. So I had this fear. I'd see all my teachers writing on the whiteboard. And I had this fear of like, I could never be a teacher because I could never write on a whiteboard in front of it. So I decided then, I think I was probably 10, that I could never do that. And so throughout my life, when I'd be in like team sports, or I was a marching band, I was on dance team, I did a lot of like extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
I always ended up somehow being the captain or the coach on the team, or like people would come to me. So I saw little signs of it throughout my life.
The leadership role, but how do you make that work?
Exactly. So what really put me deep in when I went to grad school. So when I went to grad school, part of my, there was 8 in my class, really small class, and we all were lucky enough to have full rides. But part of the deal was that we taught the undergrad classes. So that was when I learned pedagogy of like how to teach the arts. And I really, really got into it. And same thing, I was like, I don't know. And through teaching classes, a lot of my students at that time, and I was like 22, 23, like I was teaching 8 a.m. acting classes to like 18, 19-year-olds, like freshmen as well. And through that, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I would just try stuff and kind of follow whatever. And I had a lot of people reflect back to me that they really liked my class. And that was a little bit of a surprise to me. Like I didn't have that like ego of like, I know more.
I know what I'm doing.
Like, I need to do that. In fact, I was like terrified and just hoping that
I just need to get through this next hour.
and I had it reflected back to me that they really liked it. So that gave me a little bit of courage at the time that I needed. And then when I graduated that program, as I was applying to things in the industry, I kept getting hired as a teacher at various studios around town. And so I was just lucky enough to like, get my feet wet, try it out, fall in love with it. Yeah.
This is in California?
This was when I still lived in California. Yeah. Okay. So I taught in Orange County and LA.
That's so cool.
The Orange County studio was super fun because it was a mix of professionals, but also people who just wanted to take an arts class.
Yeah.
So I'd get people who had like never taken an acting class before. And I'll tell you one story that I still tell to this day. I was fresh out of school, so I was 24, I believe, like young. Like, what am I doing teaching a professional acting class? And my oldest student, I'll never forget him. I believe he was either 81, I think, at the time, or right around that age. My oldest student I had ever had.
Love that.
And his son had encouraged him to do something new in life. So he took an acting class, like beautiful. Yes. Made me cry every time he came to class. He's just like, he had been retired, but he was like an engineer in his life, like did all these incredible things. Such an intelligent man. And one day, I forget how we got into the conversation, but I was like feeling that imposter syndrome really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what could I possibly teach you? Like, you've lived such a full life and have done all these things. And he said, I probably do know a lot more than you in some ways, but this I don't know anything about. And you know a lot about it. So therefore you can teach me. And it shattered my imposter syndrome completely right there.
Oh, I like
Right?
that.
Because I realized that I don't have to pretend like I know everything to be a teacher, to be a leader.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but what you do know and what you can share like is where you should teach
Yeah.
from. And then be open to the lessons that your students get.
Being open to like evolving as a teacher is like, I think, key to being like a really good mentor or leader or
Exactly. So that was about a decade ago, believe it or not, and I have been in that field ever since. A couple different studios along the way. So, and then I work privately with people as well. So it's been a mixture of different, methodologies, if you will, different schools of study. So fast forward to this year in my life where I ended up leaving my past studio and I decided it's time to kind of start my own thing.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, which has been super exciting. So I took a good 6 months off and just really asked myself, do I love teaching? If so, what do I love about it? Why do I want to do this?
That's awesome.
What do I have to give to others? And I feel like I really honed that in.
Yeah.
I'm back up and going now. And I love it.
I am curious. So you said there's like different methodologies.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? And like, what are they? What are they?
I probably am not a good student and couldn't name all of them right now.
But like, or maybe like some of the top ones, or like,
in Chicago area, I think Meisner's pretty popular. It's a specific, so like all these methodologies come from past, great teachers, if you will, teachers who've been recognized either in this country or other countries that have passed down.
Like Shakespeare. Is that like a
Yes, Shakespeare is more of like a playwright, so we take his work. But he also a scholar would probably be like, yes, there's a methodology there. But mostly it's like just teachers of the past or present as well who have been kind of like, these are things you could do to become a great actor, or a way you could practice to become a great actor. As like throughout history, as like psychology was being studied and like those kind of go hand in hand of understanding human behavior.
The psychology must be so fascinating.
So there's lots of influences throughout my life. And I like to say like I went to many schools, so I got to kind of learn a bunch of stuff and decide like what works for me.
Choose little nuggets of information that
I don't say that I teach like one methodology. Kind of influenced by a ton of artists from the past and present. And I think my specialty is when I work with an actor, I work with them where they're at in their own journey. Nice. So they as well may have learned 5 different methodologies and are learning something, or have never learned anything, and we're approaching, from the beginning together. So I personally love Stella Adler. She's a big influence on me. Ooh. She's long past now, but she very much taught through forgive me, people listening to this, if I gloss over her brilliance, but how I understand her is that the imagination is very big for her. So, that our imaginations are vivid enough and that our bodies can kind of go along with that. So, there's some other methodologies from the past out there that might ask you to take like real life experience and kind of tie that in. And in my experience with people, that cannot always be the easiest thing to do, because sometimes you've gone through stuff, you put it to rest, and you don't want to bring it up again.
That's very fair.
So we're all real good at playing pretend, and I think that muscle of imagination is often sometimes we have to like work to get back as adults.
Yes.
I
love this. We literally, because this is why I don't do videos. I'm like, I want people to like imagine what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because we don't imagine things anymore. That's I love playing with like my nieces and nephews, and they're like, no, this is a car. It's not a car, but now it is a car. And it's like, you forget that you can just do that and have fun and be silly. And
rightfully so, we build up so much throughout our lives, like really for protection and to get through the day. And, sometimes it's not always safe to sit and daydream while you're driving and things like that. But it's like a muscle that as creatives, as actors, that you really have to be in tune with because it's such a big part of your process.
Yeah. So are you working with people with different or like stand up or not? Well, yeah, I guess like stand up or like improv or like musicals or like everybody or
yes, everyone is allowed to be there, but
that's
I
cool.
don't teach stand up. I don't teach improv, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But it's kind of how would I describe myself? I'm helping people remember what they love about the craft. And within there, sometimes there's work in a specific area. And so maybe they, often do stand up and they're coming to me because they're having stage fright or they feel like they're not connecting with the audience or, maybe they need to break open material. So I'm kind of for everyone.
That's fun.
I am absolutely not a therapist nor trained in that way, but I have been compared to one in a way with actors.
Well, because they're being vulnerable with you. Exactly. Like that's like to me, like singing in front of someone or even like I'm sure there's like if someone's doing a scene study and they're getting emotional, like that's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're pointing out something that, in some spaces, people aren't as held as they need to be. I like to say it that way. So I often work with a lot of actors who have maybe had training or coaching before that kind of harm their self-esteem or harm the way they view themselves.
Because they're like they're holding back.
Yeah. Or maybe they got shitty advice, or someone, looked at them and made it all about them and not about the actor. And that's my thing of like, I am working with people on their autonomy. So,
that's
what
cool.
works for you. Like it really I don't really matter. Like I always say, I'm not in my class. I do direct, but not in this space. So it's not really important what I think about your work. It's more important what you think about your work.
It's so
true for you. And then we talk about that. We break that open and we kind of dig through the muck of like, well, why are the way why are you working the way you're working right now? And if you want to shift it, how can we go about shifting that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like finding a new pathway or like just working in the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah. So what are some of the like, I would imagine that there's challenges because like people are either coming to, this is my assumption, but like people are coming to you and they're like, I want to hone in on this skill. Or are they like, can you help me figure out what I need work on?
Yeah.
Or a little bit of everything?
Kind of a mix of everything. So for instance, right now I'll take, I won't use names, but I have a class of about 6 people right now. If I'm looking at their resumes, they're all at very different places in the industry, if you will.
Yeah.
So a couple of them, acting is not their main gig. They do vastly different things during the day, but it's the thing that is like their biggest passion in life. And then a couple people in my room, like that is how they make their bread and butter. They've been on some huge sets with some huge people, like if you're looking at that, you're like, wow, what does this person have to learn?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, if you assume to yourself that you're complete and you're perfect and there's nothing left to learn, like that's just
you're just stunting yourself. Exactly. Yeah.
So I meet people where they're at in the way of like, we all can have that beginner's mindset again and arrive to where you are in your process. So maybe that person who's been on those big sets, like sure, that's different than this person who hasn't been on those big sets, but they still have something to work on and they still have something to gain from observing each other's work too.
Yeah.
So, for instance, that person who's been on some big sets before, like together right now, we're working on just finding a love for it again, for the craft again. Because, once you start getting to those bigger rooms, sometimes then it just becomes about a job and it just becomes a way of looking at it and you forget why you even
Why you're
loved it in the
there.
first
Yeah.
place. Yeah. So we're working on like refinding that joy.
That's
where the
cool.
person over here, like we are working on getting into those bigger rooms. Now,
Mm.
both of them are in the same class together and may even do work together. And this is maybe controversial in the world I'm in, but I'm against separating actors into like beginning advanced because I think we can all learn from each other.
I agree.
So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, yes. No, I love that. I love this. No, that's a great point. And I feel that way with like, honestly, like most creatives, like even if you take like music, it's like, yeah, you might have someone who's really, or like an expert guitarist, but put them in a room with someone who's a novice. And it's like, they may also look at them and go, oh, I forgot about that.
Exactly.
I forgot about that thing I learned 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, same for me with art, like painting techniques or like, I remember an old teacher of mine from high school, he was like, don't look at the thing, look at the negative space around it. And that's going to help you like for what's the, like hand drawing or hand drawing stuff, yeah, without tracing. Why am I blanking on the word? But anyways, and so fast forward, and I'm like, someone had mentioned it, and like a video I saw, and I was like, I forget about that, and I was like, oh, and it's this one little thing, and it's helped me so much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, look at the negative space. Now I can draw things like looking at them, but like now I can draw it like faster and more easily, and I'm like, oh, because the shape around it is creating this. So like I could only imagine that's very similar to like, I mean, any type of creative, but like
said.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And you know, some people, maybe this is bad for business, but I say like work with the people that inspire you. I know that I'm not a teacher, like maybe I'm not the teacher for you, but I'm the teacher for someone else. And then I might know someone who would be the teacher for you, you know? Like it's important for me to, and I say that because I'm thinking about like the length of time I work with people, where sometimes I meet someone for a season, I work with them for a couple of weeks, and we never work with each other again. And that doesn't mean our time was it valuable or that was the length of the lesson. And then I've had like a couple students where we've been working together over a span of 7 years. And the growth, like this one amazing actor I'm thinking of who had a hard time when we first met, even just making eye contact, like really getting outside the shell. And now like they are like one of the best actors in the room, like people who come to the room who are new but have no idea that 5-ish years ago, it was hard for them to even speak publicly. So that isn't a lesson that you could just learn in a day, and like had to repetition over years to get to even that point. So everyone is on a different timeline in their learning as well too. So that's again why I love to meet people where they're at. I feel like people start working with me when it's meant to be, and you know, a lesson is meant to be broken open or shared. And
I feel like too, it's, I mean, what you're saying, like with eye contact, learning certain skills or speaking publicly, like it's so much about the practice. And I do think there's this assumption that, especially in acting, that you're born with it. That like, oh, you're just naturally good at it, and which totally undermines those who are like, I work years and so hard at every day. Like,
and it's a mix. Like, I mean, some people are born with incredibly bold, like my husband, for example. I always joke that he has no like shame in a way, where like he just doesn't feel embarrassed. So he is like such a great improver, such a great, you know, funny performer, because he just doesn't, like, he could dance in the middle of this room and feel like
I can relate to that.
See, I cannot relate to that.
I had a moment when I was younger where like something embarrassing happened, and I was just like, I don't have the energy to be embarrassed. Like, I'm like, that's all right. It was a choice. But, and I mean, of course, there's times I still get embarrassed, but like, I love I've always wanted to do improv for that reason.
You should.
And I think it would better my, I'm good socially, but I feel like it would better my social skills too. And like,
yeah. No, but so back to your saying of, people are born with it. I'm like, well, in a way, like, yes, we're all born with something, some type of gift and talent. I guess, I don't know. I believe that we're all born with some type of gift and talent. So it's really about like, and that's another reason why I'm like, one lesson doesn't fit all. Like, I rarely come into class pre-planned of what I'm going to do because I have to just see where everyone is that day and what's on their mind and what they've been dealing with that week. Because the way I work with my partner is very different from someone who has a little bit more fear. And so we're talking about different things where, with him, I'm usually like, okay, let's work on the focus. Yeah.
yeah.
The other things that don't come as naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Oh, my goodness. So, man, okay, have you done like improv?
I have, yes. I wouldn't call myself necessarily an improv artist.
Okay.
But absolutely. None of the big houses in town, mostly at school, we focused on it. I never joined the improv team, but I went to every show they did.
Yes.
It is something that I admire deeply. And if you look at me and you're like, you need to improv to get this job, I'll absolutely do it for you. But it's something too that I'm like, I get a little nervous. And I love scripts. I love other people's words.
Are you good at memorizing?
I am phenomenal at it. So a superpower of mine from my dyslexia up here is like a picture memory. So it's always like, if we're going to really break this down, how I learned to read, really, if you talk to any other dyslexics, how we learn to read is really through memorization. Like our picture brain has seen it so many times that it's
like almost like the shape of the word. I know the word.
Exactly. Wow. So growing up, I think a huge thing that helped me was acting. And I was one of those kids, my mom would always make fun of me, where like I would have everyone's lines memorized. Just not because I was like, I need to, but just because that's what my brain did. Yeah. It memorized the whole entire script. And I still kind of do it in a way. But yes, so I'm lucky that it comes easily for me to remember other people's words. But then the flip side of that is like producing my own words through improv and whatnot. I have a lot more room for error. Like I flip things around a lot more. So I think that's probably why it makes me a little more nervous. But I also love doing things that scare me sometimes. So yes, and it isn't my main forte.
Yeah. I love that. Yes, and.
Yes, and.
When I learned about yes, and, it's funny, I literally just talked about this with a coworker today, where I was reading, so I love SNL. Mm-hmm. I grew up on it. I read a bunch of SNL books, like Amy Poehler's book, Tina Fey's book, which are so good. And like this, just the idea of, learning that idea of yes, and made me a better communicator because I was like, I feel like I would go, but, and then I would almost come off negative and I would just, or like I would tell a story and I wouldn't add to someone else's story, or I would just kind of dead end my own. And then I was like, I could just yes and like add to. Yes. And it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And like, it goes, I practice something called active listening, which is really what you're describing. I think improv has more like, it's a world of games too, and humor in a way. But to me, what you're describing is the active listening, which is not cutting something off or not, it is the yes and, but where am I going with this? That like what you're describing, that it makes you a more present listener or present responder, and you aren't just like halting the moment, which I love. I know I always think of Michael Scott in The Office on the improv episode. He's like, oh my God. When dude stops everything, which is hilarious. But that's
that show is such a gift, truly. But so it's part, also this podcast is part of the reason I was like, I want to be a better listener. And also it's funny, my grandma made a comment and she goes, I like your podcast, but you talk very slow. And I was like, oh, that's so Chicago of you, because we, in our family too, like everyone is just either talking almost over each other, where it's like, it's a very fast paced conversation. And I love communicating like that. I'm so used to it. So I can move pretty fast, but like to slow it down. And also like when you're doing a podcast, and this is what I was telling her, I was like, you need to leave room for the other person to also talk. Cause like if I'm just talking really fast and blah, blah, and then you're just like, where do I get in? Like it's like, what is that? Jump rope.
Yeah. Don't like double dutch.
Double dutch. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you're looking where you can get in. And it's like, if it's just one rope, you'll know where. Yeah. Like it'll be fine. Yeah. It's pacing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then active listening where I'm not like, I'm not holding on to a thought of like, oh, you said this. I'm going to hold on to this. I'm not going to hear the rest of the thing that you said because I really want to say this thing.
Yes.
Which I definitely used to do when I was younger. Because I was like, either it was like, oh, I want to get a laugh, or I think this is a really good point. But when you're active listening, it's like, I'm just as the conversation goes. Yeah. Less pressure on yourself too.
And more connection, hopefully.
Yes.
At the end.
Oh, 100% more connection.
To be heard is to be loved, as this is not my quote, passed down to me. But to be heard is to be loved, or to feel loved.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's true. I feel like it's deepened a lot of my friendships, relationships across the board, because I'm like, oh, I'm just present.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's nice.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. Bringing joy, and hearing joy.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying. Oh, I did have a few questions. Who inspires you?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, this stumped me.
I guess like more specifically, like, so when you were younger, you had seen, other people on stage, or like that inspired me. I want to be in those shoes. But like in terms of, I guess maybe your style, like who has inspired you?
Oh,
or has it evolved? Like, and maybe your inspirations evolved.
Okay, let me think. The first person that comes to mind is my grandma, who's passed now, my mom's mom, who's also a redhead. I'm probably wearing her jewelry as we speak. So she was just a larger than life person and had a laugh that filled the entire room. And growing up, I always knew when she was at my shows because her laugh was far above beyond anyone else's in the room. And that, I don't know how conscious I was at the time, but now I look back and like, that was an influence that really kept me going and wanting to continue to go, always having that support there. My mom and I always reflect on a funny story. She used to put me in like summer theater camps at like local high schools, and, just whatever we could make happen, we'd make happen. And there was this one summer, I think I was in 7th grade, and it was like, like a bunch of 7th graders putting on little sketches. It was nothing big and fancy. And usually it was like parents that came, or, like siblings or whatever. And I remember we were all backstage and the director came back and she was like, a whole bus of old people just rolled up, of like 35 old people. And I was like, oh my God, my grandma planned a bus at her old people home.
Oh my God.
It just was like, we're all going. Come on, everybody. We had a
get in.
Full audience. Like no one, they knew no one in it. All these 7th graders, so it was like things like that.
That's so
she
sweet.
Just like was such a bold personality, and like her style really influenced me. She used to sell costume jewelry like door to door. She used to throw parties, and I have all this from her, and like so that inspires me in a way of like I think back to her in how easily she connected with people, and that is something that's really kept me going through this. The just community of artists inspire me as well. Like artists are my people. Like I don't know, like haven't ever lived too far away from a city or a town that has really flourishing arts, which I feel so grateful for. So I think just, and then growing up in the theater, a lot of theater artists talk about this, like it's so collaborative, every single part of it. None of it is individual work.
Yeah.
So from a young age, I really have always been collaborative in every single thing I do.
Yeah.
I think that's just shaped me a lot growing as well in this field. And then like, I don't know, I think I'm always open to inspiration. I love magical realism. I love like,
What is that?
you know, kind of larger than life, like so one of my very favorite playwrights who writes in this way is Sarah Ruhl. Some people listening in the theater world may know who that is. And she writes in a very magical way. So it's like based in reality, but you know,
Like whimsical? Or
yeah,
like,
whimsical is a great
okay.
word for it. You know, this is when, you know, maybe the forms of dance or puppetry or, you know, things like that come in that have bright colors, and I'm definitely a maximalist. You know, like all these things. Music really inspires me. Yeah, so I'd say like people expressing themselves in a truthful way too, because I don't have like one style of something I love. I feel like I'm across the board in many different genres of art.
Yeah.
So I think that's why this question stumps me at the beginning, because I don't think I could pinpoint one or two, you know, things, but it's more like people being creative and doing it because
so you're just
they're
constantly
called to do it. Yeah.
just open to inspiration. You're just
I'd say nature too. If I ever need to ground myself, I'm amongst the trees,
and I love
the
this.
forest, like, or by a lake. I grew up next to a creek, catching frogs. You know, so I was often barefoot and climbing trees, and my siblings are a lot older than me, so I had a lot of like alone time.
Yeah.
You know, just making potions out of sticks.
Oh my God. I used to do this as well, and I loved it. I'm like, and then, so I didn't have a creek, but I had a front yard.
Yes.
And my brother and I would try to sell dirt water. We'd be like, come and get some dirt water. There's Oreo in it. Like, oh God. And we were like, what? Just like, but the imagination does wild things.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're like, no, for sure it's good.
Yeah.
Don't drink this.
Yeah. I'll add one more inspiration to this too, of like, you know, I'm midway through my 30s, and, you know, from the time I was little to now, have had some friends come and go and relationships evolve. And I think at this point in my life, I feel lucky that I can say I've surrounded myself with friends that really inspire me too.
Yeah.
Like, it is not hard for me to be so overwhelmingly proud of the people around me and what they're doing.
Isn't it so much fun to be someone's fan?
Exactly.
Like, anytime someone's like, oh, I'm doing this, like even when you were like, oh, I'm starting this business, I was like, yes, I'm so excited for you. Do it. And like, you were coming up with like logo, and I was like, oh my God, look.
And you were huge during that time to met you. No, I'm all about like, wherever, you know, we're meant to meet when we are meant to meet. And yeah, so I'd say my friends inspire me too. The people around me who are like doing awesome stuff as well.
Yeah.
And that just fuels my fire to keep going too. And through that too, to be truthful, I had to let some people go too that weren't filling my cup as well.
I was just gonna ask,
you know,
like, there were now that I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, well, no, I've been in my 30s. Well, so like, but I'm like, I don't know if it's that, like, it's like I don't have it's not patience, but I'm just protective over my time and my energy. And I'm like, if it's draining me, it's not for me.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's, I think that is okay.
Oh yeah.
To be able to let, you know, and it doesn't mean like, I don't really hold grudges. Like, I try to, you know, work through anger if I have, or things like that. But it's like, okay, well, you know, if you don't care for me deeply, it's not easy to, you know, I'm not gonna be able to end this relationship. Yeah. So yeah, and through that, you know, you're really able to, I think, hone even deeper, like the care you have for the people in your life, and vice versa, which just inspires me and keeps me going. Yeah. And I turn to often when I need some words of encouragement, or when I'm like feeling that, like, what am I doing?
Yes. Yeah.
And then my best friend from kindergarten, who I literally met on the first day of kindergarten, will call me and be like, you know what you're doing.
I love that. I love that. Everybody needs a best friend like that.
That's true.
That's like, hey, I got you.
Yeah, exactly.
And knows you and can,
Yes.
I'm assuming, also calls you on your shit.
Yes, exactly.
I love my best friend does that. I'll be like, I'll like say something and she'll be like, maybe we rethink this. And I'm like, thank you so much.
That's why
Yes.
we're here together.
Important, very important. But yeah, to have people in your corner and just like, and especially, I would say, especially as creatives, like to, I don't know, it's like, it's already such a hard enough industry that it's like, we got to lift each other up.
We have to.
Yeah. No matter what it is, it's like, oh, you're into that? Like, cool. Let me help you. If I can help you. Or
I often work with actors on, I call it the comparison game. So like, but this is in many art forms, you know, especially in today's world when, you know, social media is so prevalent and we're viewing so much all the time and putting ourselves against what we view and like our worth against someone else's. And I warn people to recognize when that's creeping up for you and to really challenge it. Because it can be stifling and it can be harmful to yourself to sit and say like, well, I'm not doing what they're doing. It's like, but you're doing what you're doing.
yeah,
Isn't that awesome? And who says that you have to do it that way? There's no rules.
Yes.
There literally is no rules.
We all make them. Isn't it funny when you realize, you're like, wait a minute. I don't have to be doing any of this. I can do what I want to be doing.
Exactly.
Yes. And comparison is the thief of joy.
Beautifully said. Yeah, I love that. I'm going to steal that.
Please do. Please do. It's not mine. So like a lot of art, you know, we're just borrowing.
None of these quotes are ours.
But it's true. And it's like, I know for myself, like, especially with painting, I try really hard not to look at art like online, like unless it's like a specific artist that I really like. But it's funny, the artists that I am mostly drawn to, it's a lot of nature and abstract. And like, I love like realism, but I find that if I look at it too much, I start either comparing or I can like alter my style. And I'm like, I don't want to alter what I'm doing. I want to kind of evolve it on its own. But then also there's some homework I do where I'm like, oh, I'm struggling with getting this. I need a technique or something that like works.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's so smart, you know?
Or protect down here trying
yourself in that way.
Yes. Yeah, because like your art, I mean, there's so much emotion that goes into it. And like, I mean, I give my all, you know, and it's so vulnerable, but I'm like, you definitely want to be proud of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, just comparing. I know I find so many people that compare and I go, no, don't do that.
And then it creates like, you know, for those listening, notice in yourself if you're comparing that sometimes it brings up like jealousy or, you know, you find yourself maybe not liking someone and it's like, why?
Oh, it breaks my heart.
So much grossness.
So I definitely, growing up, I was taught jealousy was an okay thing. And then there was a point in my life where I was like, this emotion is keeping me from getting to know other people. And I'm like, and maybe I think it came out as jealousy, but really it was like, oh, I have an insecurity about myself. Maybe I think I'm less than, or I'm not as good, and especially in a creative sense, I'm not as good as this person. And it's like, that's why you should surround yourself around them. Like, oh, if I think this person's better, maybe I can learn from them. I can, or just be friends.
Yes. It can create a huge block in your own creative self because if we're sitting here judging someone else who has put themselves out there, you know, in the creative fashion, then we're already limiting ourselves from trying something scary as well.
Yeah.
And that's it's a mental block. Like you're stopping yourself from being vulnerable because you may be scared that someone's going to turn around and do the same thing to you that you're judging about someone else. So as
that's a good point.
You know, challenge that of like, well, why are you judging them? Is it because you wish you're doing the same thing? Are you scared that, you know, what I love, again, this is not my quote, but what is that person doing that you're not doing? That's a great question to ask yourself when you hear that come up, because maybe it's just being vulnerable or being silly or, as the kids say nowadays, the cringiness, you know?
I
Like,
love
be
cringe. I love
yes,
cringe.
it's a beautiful thing. And it lacks judgment.
Yeah.
You're cringe. You're
Yeah.
just putting yourself out there.
Whatever.
Exactly, whatever.
No, I love
How
that.
fun is that? Like,
It's true. You gotta, yeah, I feel like that's something in my 30s that I learned is if it's a weird feeling, if I can identify it, explore it and really like figure it out. Because if it's bringing up anything negative, I'm like, it's not helping me, it's not serving me, and I don't have time for that. And also, like, we only get one life,
exactly.
and I don't want to spend it. I don't like not liking people.
Yeah.
Like, even if we don't get along, I'll send you off with light love, and that's cool. And you do your thing. I may not, you may not be a part of my life, but you were for even a blip, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And like, but to carry out, to harbor the whatever a negative emotion it is towards someone, I'm like, don't do that. Just,
And same on the other side, like if you yourself are feeling diminished by those around you or judged by those around you, like those are not the people for you, my friend.
Exactly, which is a hard thing to. That's a hard thing to think about. I actually had a friend group where just a while ago, but that like when I had moved to Atlanta, we basically just like stopped talking. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh, there was one person in the group that would reach out to me every so often, and I was like, oh, interesting. Like, what was that friendship? And it forces me to ask those questions of like, well, why did I put in all of this effort if I wasn't getting anything back? And then if I left and then, it completely dropped, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like I was keeping people around because I was getting this like false sense of support.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I see them often, maybe we go out drinking a lot or like partying, but it's like, oh, maybe you were just my party friends.
Yeah.
And then I thought more of them.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I was like, oh no, we're this, we're that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, and then you evolve and then you meet people and then they either come and go in your life and it's like, oh, but I think everybody has a purpose.
Yeah.
Like whether it be I figured something out about myself, figured something out about you, I'm learning about life. Like
that's a beautiful way to look at it, to take the lesson out of it. I try to do that as much as I can, especially in the painful times when I like feel hurt.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay, what am I gaining for this? And what boundary am I learning to set?
Yes. Oh, my standards for life have become so high now that I'm like, I feel safe.
Yeah.
That's actually, I don't think I've ever said that out loud, but like, that's
true.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's proximity. Like I know, depending on what school you're in or the people in your neighborhood, like sometimes you friend people because you're there together at the same time. Yeah. And again, it doesn't mean it's always like the right people for you in your life. And that's okay to shed and to let go or to create a boundary around as well. So yeah.
Living and learning. I just love you, and but it's good. I love meeting people. I think and I think we've talked about this. I'm a golden retriever. I am for sure.
Yes.
But I don't think I wasn't always like this. I was maybe like, no, maybe I was. Maybe I am. But I was like, if you imagine a golden retriever puppy, they're just chaos. And I feel like that was me when I was younger. And then as I've gotten older now, I'm like, that filter of like, do we work? Do we match? Like energy, frequency, like has gotten much better that I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like, and then, or nope, that's okay. Like,
yeah. But yet still within there, I mean, I wonder if you relate to this. That's why I love customer service, and as an actor, like I'll most likely always have to have different support jobs as well too within there. And I've learned to like find things that bring me joy or else I'll be drained. So I veer towards things where I get to meet humans and
Yes.
just ask them how their day is.
Oh, yeah.
Not every day is like a great day in customer service. You definitely have, people who test your list. But for example, the other day at the wonderful coffee shop we met at, someone came in who I first met her when she was finishing school in neuroscience, I believe.
Ooh.
And she since graduated and now is in the job market, which has been very hard for her. And,
Yeah.
she hadn't been coming in as much because she hadn't had a job. So, of course, yeah. And she came in the other day and she was like, I just had 2 interviews. They went so well. So I'm here to celebrate because you guys are my lucky charm. Like, you're getting me through school. And I was
My heart's melting.
That is why I love customer service jobs, and it's specifically in your own community if you can. I think it's even more beautiful because now I go places and I run into my neighbors and I know things about my neighbors' lives and, whether she knows my name or not, which isn't really important. The important part is she felt seen. Yeah. And if that was the moment we got to share,
how beautiful.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean we probably will never be deeper friends than that. And that's good because I don't really want to make friends with every single customer.
Right. That's a lot.
There's boundaries. There's love. But to be in a place where you can make a drop in the bucket of an art for someone's day. That I love.
I do.
Meeting people in that way.
Totally.
And I know we share that.
Yes.
We got along because of that.
Oh my God. Because it's just and it's funny because I'm terrible with names. And I'm like, and I may not remember your order, but if you told me something, I'm going to remember that.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm going to remember your face. And and I'll see you and I'll be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sales wagon.
How was your trip? Yeah. How's your dog? I remember all the dogs.
Oh, yes, of course. How could you forget?
All the dogs.
And I'm getting this now at my new shop. That I do love is getting I feel like because it's a downtown environment though, people are a little more closed off and not luckily everyone on my team is very community based, so they're all open to oh, we see you every day, just tell me your name and tell me something about you. Why don't you just hang out for a second? And now people are starting to slowly open up. And it's because for them they're just oh, I'm just coming in and grabbing, because I think they're used to that environment of Starbucks where it's I'd walk in, I grab my cup, I leave, and it's no, you're gonna look at me, we're gonna have a laugh.
Exactly.
And I'm going to send you off with a little piece of joy.
Even if you're
not a bing.
Butt-faced to me that day. Sometimes I'll say, I'm even more on a mission in those times.
I am too.
I'm going to make you be nice today.
I'm
going to ask you who you are.
I love when people are in a bad mood. I'm we had someone, and I was they were just this was wrong. And I go, no problem is too big for us to solve together. It's
so good. So good. Yeah.
I'm we got this. That's so funny.
Because sometimes people, again, just being seen, being heard is feeling loved. And I'm they chose to come into this place, whether they're admitting it is that they wanted connection or not.
Yes.
Come into a place where
I think they do.
Connection. So,
yeah. I'm you think you want coffee, but you just need a smile.
Exactly.
You need some eye contact.
Exactly.
You love that we call out your name with a little joy in our voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if you're a little mean, I'm not, just gonna roll over and be that,
Yeah. No.
It's not okay to be to anyone.
Yeah.
Still, I'm not gonna give you what you want, which is probably meanness.
Yes.
I'm just gonna kill you with kindness, unfortunately.
Bummer, dude.
Yeah, bye.
I love the killing with kindness. I'm that's okay. Your bad day doesn't have to mean I have to have a bad day. Have you heard of don't meet people where they're at, meet them where you want them to be?
Oh, no, but that's beautiful.
I heard this in I think it was Keys to the Shop, which is that coffee podcast. And I think it was anyways, but it's basically it was for managerial interactions, but I was I feel I carry this throughout life now where I'm if someone gets heightened about something oh this sucks, blah blah blah, and I'm we're together, it's not a big deal. I promise we're gonna fix we'll fix this problem, we're gonna, and it disarms people.
Yes.
Whereas like if I meet you at where you're at and you're in a negative headspace, like
Yes.
it's only gonna worsen that mood. But if we bring it down, take it easy.
Yeah. I love. I'm gonna steal that too.
Please
Another
do.
stolen
Please
quote.
do. Yeah. It was not my quote. Not our quote. I'm gonna put a little asterisk at the end of this. None of our quotes.
None of the quotes are ours.
Please borrow.
We won't tell you therefore.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I have so I was very excited about this, by the way, because I was just like, this is a realm in which I'm fascinated in, but I don't know a whole lot of, because like I know what everybody sees, like SNL.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you see movies. I do love listening to like interviews. And I find fascinating is that a lot of people's persona on camera is so different from who they are in real life.
Yeah.
And like I saw like Harrison Ford was, I mean, he's just one dreamboat, and then also just like stellar. And I would imagine him being like the life of the party, and he's like an introvert.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like,
But people do love working with him, is the rumor mill, which
like
is
he's a wonderful person.
Yes.
So that helps for sure. But yeah, so would you say that like, is it that people are trying to? How is this question? But like that, it's funny. That song is also distracting. It's a song. It's like shouting, like, wow. But yeah, like people are trying to change their own personalities to their acting, or are they trying to keep it separate?
That's a great question. I think, everyone has their own process with it. So I can't speak to like every actor as a whole, because some actor might be like, yes, I completely put myself aside and step in. I think it's a mix. Like, I'll use myself for an example. We know each other. I wouldn't say I'm an evil person or mean at all, really. For those people.
I would never say that.
I love playing like spooky characters.
Really?
Yes, it's so much fun. And I'd say that's very different from me.
Yeah.
Say what I'm working on, but yet still like my body, my voice, me, like that's the tool, right?
Yeah.
So I'm there, but if a script's been given to me, someone else has created this world, so I'm stepping into very different circumstances from my own reality in life. Yet I can't like negate myself fully because it is me. So I'd say it's a mix. And when I'm working with actors, that mix is really what I'm curious in, of like, how are you meeting your character where they are? Here's another quote, not from me, but I love that characters are as fully human as we are. So therefore, your humanness is appropriate for your character. Now, on top of that, you often, not all the time, because something could be created as you go, but you often have lines that are given to you, or a setting that you're in, or a place or a time. So those things will shift you. How could that, the costume you wear might change the way you stand. So it's a mix. But sometimes I think people do get into acting as well to be able to put themselves into other people's worlds and circumstances, which I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I know a lot of roles I've loved are because, yes, I haven't lived that, and maybe hopefully never will, because some things are, pretty intense, but like, yet playing pretend within this circumstances in this world is so freeing to your own reality as well. And therefore you like kind of get to experience it without actually experiencing it too. So it's a mix, and then like people often take their own realities and create art out of that as well. So sometimes the creator of Fleabag, Phoebe, like she took her own life and reflected it and created art out of it. And
I didn't know that it was like a bit of her own life.
I don't know exactly how, like she might have expanded on it a little bit to dramatize it and whatnot. But yeah, so there's examples of that all over the place. So it's a big mix.
That's cool.
Yeah. I could go down a rabbit hole of like the actors who quote unquote use like methods to like lose themselves completely, if you will. I won't go on that rabbit hole today because there are many polarizing opinions, but
there's like, I think of Jim Carrey. Like when he did Andy Kaufman.
Yes, which is a whole other level thing because Andy Kaufman himself, the real person, was quite the like, you never knew what was real or what was fake. So yeah, there's levels to everything. Yeah, but still at the end of the day, like it's Jim Carrey, like he's using his body, his voice to transform into this character. So part of you is always going to be there no matter what.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I have also heard of actors doing doing a role and then being like heavily affected, either like negatively or positively, but like more, you hear more about the negative, and then they're just like, oof, I gotta.
Yeah. That is a great topic to bring up.
Yeah.
It is very important for me to work with people on understanding how, I'll call it, ground themselves or find stability again. Because yes, some roles can be like, I remember a show I did where I think I got the flu because I was so stressed. My like immune system was down because it was just a stressful show, like to go through every night, the circumstances that character was going through, which was like a death of a child. So like imagine doing that, 8 times a week and then recovering from that too.
Yeah.
So it's really, really important if there are any actors listening who don't have a process of recovery to build that for yourself. There are plenty of examples of huge, actors who have maybe not made it through the other side of a character or had to take a break from stuff, and that's their right as well. Like rest is super important. So if you're at a point where you're like, I need to back away from this, listen to that. Don't force yourself, but
burnout is so real.
Exactly.
So real.
In any creative form, burnout is so real. So I'd say listen to yourself first and offer yourself what you need, and then build practices that are restorative. So like what helps you feel better?
Yeah. What fills your
Yes.
Like,
and maybe you need to do a little work to research that, or, get with some people who can help coach you with that. But it's so important to sustain yourself, as I'll talk specifically about actors, as an actor, to sustain yourself. That's something you want to do for years and years and years.
Yeah.
You need to know how to protect yourself as well. And that could include saying no to some things.
I'm sure some things that could just be too much.
Exactly.
And you're just like,
that's a gorgeous story. Am I ready to tell it with my body, my voice? Maybe not. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And did you learn that through experience, or were you taught that?
A little mix of both. Okay. I'd say experience first, as in like, not having healthy practices to come out of it. More practices of like maybe over drinking or like, ignoring the problem. So not healthy. And then I was lucky enough to have a couple teachers in my life offer me practices to like, oh, this is a good way to kind of debrief after, to come back to stability. A lot of it goes hand in hand with like, if you experience, let's say, anxiety and you've talked to a professional about how to work through a panic attack, very similar practices. Like, there's one called orienting out. So like if you're experiencing,
I love this.
You look around, often I'll say like find like 5 blue things, find 4 green things, 2 yellow things. So what you're doing is getting your body back to a stable point where it doesn't feel overactive, but your brain is engaged now. Because when you're acting, you often, you have to kind of give yourself to the moment. You're letting those emotions know. You're kind of like, you might have to pretend to have a panic attack on stage, and your mind knows you're pretending, but your body doesn't know it's pretending because it wants to feel real, right?
Yeah.
So in those moments, like with those actors, we're going to work on, okay, when that scene's done and you're backstage, what are you doing now to get your body back to stability so that you can continue and you aren't burning yourself out? If you're a vocal, if you're a singer, you're warming up your voice, you're cooling down your voice. Like, how to keep the instrument going. Yeah. It's the same thing, but our instrument is like our emotions and our body and our brains and our voices,
I would have never. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that. Like that you would need like almost like a grounding period. Because like to me, it feel like looking at it from the outside, I'm like, oh, this is just all one fluid thing. And then at the end of the show, you're done.
Yeah.
Versus like having these on and off points.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, every show's different, you know, but yeah, generally like, or it might be at the end of, you know, I work on stage a lot. So I talk often and like you're running a show for a couple months and there might be a process at the very end of the show. I have a couple things I do. I have like a set playlist I'm usually listening to. Often, you can tell right now I'm wearing a lot of jewelry. Often I pick jewelry for my characters or like a certain scent or something. So I'll use that up until the point where then we've like wrapped that project or we're done with that show. And then I'll put those things away. And like that's a grounding ritual for me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Or like a
set
of like clothes that I kind of wear while I'm playing that character. Just kind of outside things that I can physically and literally see myself putting away. And it kind of helps my mind then move through it. But sometimes it's a little bit not grieving and like, you know, I have to like grieve, you know, but it's more of like a saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta physically let it go to like kind of,
exactly.
It's wild how the brain will perceive that.
Yes.
And like, I know there's tons of therapies on that. And like, even for my therapist has been like, yeah, you can write it down.
Yes.
And then like,
beautiful.
you know, some people like burn pieces of paper where they write things down or like, and it's like, oh yeah. You could do that.
Those are some great examples of all, you know, things that you could offer yourself. And that's why I say like, it's really individual what you do.
Yeah.
But make sure you have something. Yeah. Something that works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have, I mean, I know I'm a social person. I think people don't think I get nervous, but I still get social anxiety, especially if I've like socialized for a long period of time. And then it's like, okay, now I gotta go be on or something, or like even at work. Yeah. So I have like, I loved, or it's sometimes even at a party, or like if you have a heavy conversation, I'm like, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'll go to the bathroom and I just do like a solid minute of just deep breaths and I close my eyes and it's just like, even thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I can relax. Like it's so disarming. And then I'm like, all right, cool. It's a little like restart button.
Exactly.
I get these
wonderful
mini power ups, like where I'm like, oh, I can just take a second.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's where like not having the embarrassment thing. So I'm like, I don't care if I'm in the bathroom for that long. I'm just breathing.
I'm breathing, I swear.
Yeah. Call it what you will, but I'm just breathing here. Oh, I did want to know. Well, I guess we kind of already talked about it. I was like, how has acting inspired you to be a better person?
Oh, and just the most profound ways. I think it is what offered me from a young age empathy, like just the empathy.
Yes,
because you're telling stories often of other people's worlds and perspectives, and you can't help but gain empathy through that.
Yeah.
Then also the collaboration of it all. I mean, even before I realized I was learning these skills of teamwork and collaboration and respecting everyone's roles. There's nothing like the theater where like every single person is so important, even if they're not the ones getting the applause at the end or, you know, the accolades, if you will. It's so ingrained in you, at least through my mother ingrained this in me, that like treat everyone with respect. And you hear different stories sometimes of like, you know, I don't know, bigger sets and whatnot of maybe stars that like ignore her, you know, don't make eye contact and things like that. And then you hear the flip side of the people who really take time to learn everyone's names and just like saying hello. Like I'm sure no matter what room I'm in for what type of job, whether it be an acting job or at a coffee shop or, you know, teaching young kids or whatnot, like I am making a connection with everyone there, at least through a hello and like a, I'm human, you're human, we're in this room together. Yes. You know, we may have different jobs in this room together, but like we're all here. So let's not pretend that we're not. You know? Yeah. Yes. I'd say it shaped me in every single way.
I love that. Yeah. Dude, going into a room and being like, we're all just hanging out.
Yeah.
Like it really does make a huge difference in like how you carry yourself And also, like, I can tell when someone carries themselves that way, where I'm like, oh, you're treating everyone as an equal, and how wonderful. Because it's so, I don't know if it's, I mean, the ego can come out at any point, and I think it's easy to let your ego inflate and think you're either, whether it's like you're better or or I don't care about that, or like, you know, and be maybe not passive aggressive, but like
Unconsiderate.
yes. And I like I always love like when like delivery drivers come in and I'm like, hey, I know that job is hard.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not just gonna be like, hey, what's up? Like, hi, how are you? Can I get you a Gatorade? Can I get you a water? Can I get
Are you doing anything fun today?
Yes. Are you having a good day? Like, if you're not, can I get you a coffee? Can I make you something? Like, you know, just little things like that. I'm very of the like, just don't be rude to people. Don't be rude also to people who can help you.
Yes.
Like especially if like you're all working together. I'm like, I don't want to be rude to my delivery guy because he delivers my stuff. Like,
I don't know. Exactly.
yeah.
We all together make up this thing that we're doing.
Yes.
Like we all have different, you know, just
We're all contributing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so we work in coffee, and then we both also have creative side gigs.
Yes.
And what does the average, because I think when people think of actors, they think of movies and big time and oh, you're a millionaire, but like that's probably only a small fraction of actual actors.
Yes.
So like, what does the average actor kind of look like?
Oof, good question. It's all over the place. Like I think it's one of those mediums, and I won't even say careers because not everyone is a career actor as well. Like I work with a lot of actors who do it because they love it, and maybe they're only practicing it in classes at the moment or doing, you know, readings with their friends. But some people make it their full career as well. So it's a mix. And some people want it to be their full career, but are still working towards that way and have to do other things to sustain themselves. So I feel like it's so vast in what the quote unquote average actor looks like.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I really try to tell people, you know, like my own journey, I went to a lot of schooling. So I also was kind of, you know, side by side with people who were in school at the same time. But now if I reflect on like people I graduated with, not all of them are actors anymore. And maybe acting, like I'm thinking my dearest friend who is still, even though she's not practicing it all the time, is still a phenomenal actor. But she ended up taking the path into speech pathology and she kills it there. You know what I mean? But everything she learned and gained and loved about that craft has influenced how she is in the career she is now.
I love that.
So it's, you know, and that's all over the board. And then I'll meet some people who like, they've never gone to school, they've never had formal training, but they have always loved, you know, maybe have watched TV or watched movies and could envision themselves up there and wanted to try it out. And so they do. And, you know, they're on their own journey as well. So it's really, really, it's a hard question because there isn't really a blueprint to what it looks like. But you're right. I think sometimes you have this idea of like, you know, the small percentage of people who have maybe, made a lot of money off of it. Incredible. Do they love the craft of acting still? I don't know. I'd have to sit with thought and see, you know, how deeply they love it and practice it. But it's kind of, it's all over the map. Honestly.
I do feel like most creatives, like, I mean, you see big painters and big creatives in general, where it's like, you know, it's just such a small fraction. I'm like the average, like I get asked a lot when I do pop-ups, like, oh my God, is this what you do full time? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish. Exactly. And I'm like, oh no. Well, this is what I do. And I love, like, I mean, I do love my job. I love working in coffee. And it's funny, like I'd gotten into baking and I was like, this is cool. This is fun, but I'm alone a lot. And I'm like, I want to talk to someone. And then I was like, and then I got into coffee and I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. Wouldn't have gotten there without baking, but I was like, oh. And so But yeah, as a creative, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want it to be a full-time thing.
It does
Right.
shift if it,
Yeah.
like I was explaining earlier, the people I work with who their career is acting, it doesn't mean just like everything is perfect by any means. It actually like opens a whole other level of problems sometimes.
I mean, yeah.
So yeah, it's hard and you brought up an interesting point I love. For instance, I know you do as well photography, and I love music, I love dance, and those are things that like are passions of mine that maybe in a world I could have veered professional, but I think I would have lost the love of that thing if I had made it a full profession. It would have added a little more stress and not a lot of play. So, that's how, like, when I work with people, sometimes I'm like, it's okay if you want to do this, like, just take class once a week.
Yeah.
You are still an actor. Even if you haven't booked, whatever.
Yeah.
You are still an actor. If you say you are, you are.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay, what would you say to someone who... So when I was a kid, I wanted to be a drummer for a moment.
Amazing.
And my dad was like, we're going to go to Guitar Center. We're going to go try out some drums and see if you like. He's like, I'm not going to buy them unless I know you're going to like them. So I go thud, and I go, not for me. And I was, because I was nervous of one, there's people walking around. And I was just like, I don't know anyone and I don't know how to play.
Yeah.
And so I would assume, I mean, that, of course, that happens to other people, but like in the acting realm, like to someone who goes, I feel like I'd be a good actor. And then they go and they try and they're like, ugh, and that resistance, like how would you suggest to work past other than like, I guess just doing it, but like, I'm going to go.
That's a great question. I think there's always like the first discovering with yourself the why of why you love it, why you're drawn to it, what ignites you about it. Are you watching specific directors and you love their work, or you're reading things and it's inspiring you, or you feel in yourself like you have a story to tell and you want to share it. So first, like understanding your own why, I think will help lead you to then the spaces that will support that why. And like I said earlier, like truly not every space is right for every person. And I see, unfortunately, a lot of people wasting money trying to make a space fit what they need, where really they should have spent a little more time understanding what they need and then finding a space that correlates with that. So that could be, and that doesn't always include like having to spend money on something. We're in such a connected age, social media wise, that start following others that inspire you. Don't follow people that make you feel like lesser than, right? But follow people that inspire you, that maybe, they're at a level or a place that you hope to be one day. And then pay attention to the rooms they're in or the people they suggest or trust. Build your network and then ask advice in those networks.
Yeah.
Because I have gotten the advice before, like, just go take classes, which is not bad, but understand
why and
first.
That's
before you just
really
go spend a bunch of money on something that you hope it aligns with what you
That's
want.
a really good piece of advice. Yes, because I could see people being like, I think I like this, but if you don't explore the why, you may be like, oh.
Yeah.
Like,
and maybe the why is like, I want to get outside my comfort zone. Great. So maybe getting outside your comfort zone first might be like going to do karaoke at a bar one night.
Yeah.
Or like signing up for a walk-in stand-up session. Like it doesn't have to be the biggest commitment in the world right at the top. Like start slow, but understand your why first, for sure.
You're inspiring me.
Oh my gosh.
Because like, especially with music, like music's always been a part of my life. And as of recent, so last year I set like some goals for myself, and doing a podcast was one of the goals. So I'm knocking off some stuff on my list, but one of the things was I own a bunch of instruments. I do not play any of them. And I'm like, why? Like, do I want to play the instruments? Why do I want to have them? like, and so I dabble in them.
Yeah.
And by dabble, I mean I could carry a hot cross buns too.
Yes,
You know, I can play a mean hot cross buns. But aside from that, I'm like, and I think I'm intimidated. And I thought about this the other day, actually, in the shower. I was like, I'm intimidated by music theory because I'm like, I don't always understand the explanations that I've already heard.
Yeah.
And so I go, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
And so that's that imposter syndrome.
You, yeah.
And then it does.
Yeah.
And I have this ukulele I stare at every day. And I'm like, I need to just pick it up. And for some reason, it's like just picking it up is like the hardest thing. But I think like in my head, I convince myself like, oh, I should just take lessons. That'll make me do it. And then I'm like, but to your point, I'm like, oh, that costs money.
Exactly.
And do I want to invest in this? Am I going to actually like this? So it's like, oh, I could do a few like lessons on YouTube or just learn one song I really like and see how that develops. And like, you know, it doesn't always have to be this giant chunk of commitment. It can just be a little bit at a time.
Yes, this is a very common thing we as humans do. Oh my God, that's my favorite song. It's a very common thing that we as humans do where we're like, yeah, we want to begin something, but the fear of not being perfect stops us from jumping in because, of course, there's so many people in the world who are like very, very gifted at the skills. Like, who am I to? Well, because it's like might be enjoyable for you. That's you know. So speaking to not understanding music theory, if we were working together, I'd say, well, remember that once upon a time there was absolutely no theory around music, and that people just like, oh my God, started playing little rhythms, or like maybe put some, you know, found out that if you stretch the string, it created a reverb, and then, you know, oh wow, we can sing and mix our voices and create sound. So like,
I love
everything came from somewhere of just like play. Yeah. So therefore, your learning can come just from somewhere of play as well.
I feel like you're just unlocking something and
just pick it up.
It's just play.
Feel it. Play around with it and see where that takes you. Do you know the 4 stages of learning? Have you?
No, I don't.
This is my favorite lesson that I'm happy to give to all the listeners here. Again, did not invent this. Not my quote. But there are 4 stages of learning. So when we're learning a new skill, I use my little nephew as an example, who has older sisters who he saw riding a bike when he was 1.
Yeah.
And he didn't know how, but he knew that he wanted to just by seeing it. So the first stage is unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. So he had never seen a bike in his life until he saw a bike. And then all of a sudden, whoa, what's that? I want to learn that. Now it's conscious. So now you move into the conscious incompetence. You now are aware of the thing you don't know, and you're curious to know more. So then you move into the 3rd stage, which is the longest and most difficult stage, which we all sit in all the time, called conscious. Oh, I always get this wrong. Hold on. Everyone's laughing at me if they're a student of mine because I explain this all the time and I mess this up. Unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence. No, unconscious competence. You don't know what you know now. And now you're consciously learning. So you're still not quite competent, but you're conscious of it.
Yeah.
So this part has no ending until all of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm now really good at that skill. Now, like, you know, you're on the bike, you're trying to learn it, and then one day you're just riding a bike and you're talking to your friends, or you're on the phone and you're waiting.
Not even thinking about it.
Think about it anymore.
Wow.
But in the stage where you're deciding to learn is where judgment comes up, is where, you know, I'm not good at this yet. You know, it takes a lot of repetition. It takes a lot of time. It's uncomfortable. It can be painful sometimes, you know? So a lot of times we get down on ourselves in this stage because we aren't perfect. But how could you be perfect? You're in the midst of learning it.
Yeah.
And you will be ever evolving within there too. So like if you pick up this instrument, you're going to begin where you are, which is probably, you know, how do I even hold it? How do I feel it? How do I move things?
You know, maybe 2 chords.
Yeah, exactly. And then those 2 chords start to build, and then you add more to it. And then, you know, maybe you set it down again for a while and then pick it back up.
Yeah.
And now you still are beginning in a different place that you once were. And so this cycle continues until it becomes unconscious competence. You now don't even have to think about the skill. You just know how to do it.
Wow.
And I like to remind people when they're in the difficult part that they're in the difficult part and that this takes time and it feels slow and it feels messy, but that you're in it.
Yeah. I love that.
So pick it up.
You're so right. And I'm going to make some time today. Even if it's like 10 minutes, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to hold it.
Yeah.
Be like, all
and
right.
who knows what it can lead to? And that's the beauty. It's like, you don't even have to know what it will lead to right
I
now.
think that's a part of the mental block is I'm like,
absolutely.
Oh, actually, now that we're diving into it, but like that, it's like, because like with painting, I always knew I wanted to be an art, and I always loved drawing, and then that evolved into painting. I still love drawing, but there was a point where I was like, oh, I can turn this into a job, and then I fell out of love with it, in love with it, out of love with it, and then back into love with it, where I go, I'm in love with this, but I also am taking this seriously as a business.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this isn't really my hobby anymore.
Yeah.
It's now my work, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I think I was resistant. But then now I have all these other hobbies, and I'm like, but there's this mental piece where I go, is this going to turn into a job? Am I gonna turn this into work, like, or can I just play and like let it be and evolve without expectation? And I think I need to just
that's the
let go of
offering
it.
you have to give yourself.
Yeah.
Of like,
that's a good way of
this is
putting that.
play. This is play. There are no and I like, for bringing this back to what I do, that's what I love about my class is that everyone is arriving of like, let's just play. I can't offer you a job. I have no job to give you.
Yeah.
So when but other spaces are going to have a job at the end of this road, and the play doesn't feel as available because like you're worried about booking it, right? Which is valid. And so hopefully you're offering yourself enough repetition of just play that when you get to the points where like, okay, maybe your play sessions have led to skill evolving, and now someone is like, hey, actually, I have this job for you. Okay, it might change a little there, right? It might break, like with your painting, maybe you think about the completion of it a little differently when it's someone who's like paying you money to receive the item than when you're just like painting to give a gift to a friend. There's a little different involvement there, which for those listening, I was given a gift of a painting of Kermit the Frog from Amy, and it's my favorite thing ever.
Oh my God.
So, like, there's different play there. You were considering me differently than when I hired you to paint pictures of my cats.
Very true.
To a gift to my husband, which are also incredible.
Oh my God, they're so much fun. Oh my God, you do.
Beautiful. But so yes, this is the permission we have to offer ourselves. And like, if you notice you are not beginning because you're putting these parameters already on yourself of the outcome, then you're cutting yourself off from just creativity right from your beginning. So there has to be permission to play.
Permission to play.
Yeah, that is love. Write that one.
I am going to write that down because I think I'm going to call this permission.
There's our title.
To play. That's our title. There we go. And that is, it's wild how saying that, it's literally like a weight lifted because it's like, oh my God, I forgot. And like, even with the music theory, and you're like, there once was no theory.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right.
And
there was a
going back to rules, they're all just made up.
They are. And we did this to ourselves.
That's cool too, in a way, right? Like we like shared, like, if you're like the sports fans out there, like we like knowing the rules to the game so that there's a winner and there's a loser. But like still at the same time, like we also enjoy the spontaneity of the play within the thing.
Yeah.
That within these rules, bounds, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Oh, That was me watching the World Cup.
Right, exactly.
Oh my God. Just constantly on the edge of your seat. And you're like, I know we only have 4 minutes left, but yes, I don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that.
So we can also treat ourselves the same way in our creativity. Like, sure, there are some guides and some bounds that even you can push if you would like to.
Yeah.
Or you could stay within if you'd like to. But know that play is still available within there. And that really anything can happen. When I'm working with actors, very often, if we're talking about maybe training that shaped you in a way, like I've had a lot of scenarios where I've had to get a grade for my creativity in school and not, which is very,
it's hard.
When I was a teacher in the university, it was really hard for me to grade students because I was like, how do I look at them and say that their creative expression deserves a beat? Like, it's just not.
That
felt very icky.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I'm working with them, if they go in, pre-planned, if you will, or determined to do it exactly how they envisioned it, again, they're cutting themselves off from the possibility of anything happening. Yes, you do have some bounds, you have some lines, you have a world you're playing within, but like there's freedom within that.
Yeah.
An expression and play and creativity within that as well.
Balance.
That's my 2 cents.
I love that. Oh my goodness. I love this conversation so much.
Really great conversation. Very inspirational. And if you, those listening out there, if you come take a class from me, this is usually what we get into talks about.
I mean, it's so
every week.
I feel like too, and I love that you were saying like not everybody who like acts is like you're still an actor, but you're maybe not doing certain gigs or like you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because it is a creative outlet.
Yes.
And I do think more people should do that.
Yes.
Like I think even for myself, I'm like, oh, I forget that this is also an outlet. It's not just a job.
Yes.
Anything creative, typically or technically. But
I truly believe if everyone took an acting class in this world,
would be a better person.
We would all have more empathy.
Work a service job and
there you go. That's 2 requirements
and take an acting class.
Work in the service industry and take an acting class.
I love that. And very true. Because it's like, I mean, it's so funny. Like I love the brain and like I wonder like what does the brain of an actor look like? Because it's gotta be because when you're like taking on roles, you're taking on personas and experiences, and maybe they're not technically yours, but you're still putting, like you said, like putting your mind and your body through with it, and then it's like it's almost as if you are experiencing it, so the brain is still registering this, and it's like wow, like I mean. You mentioned empathy, and I'm just like, wow, like how wonderful, like to be empathetic to someone because you're like, well, I didn't live through this, but I did kind of experience it, and and like it would I feel like it would force you to be nicer to people.
Yes, because it forces you to contemplate it, and again, I can't speak across the board, but I've met plenty of narcissists who are actors as well, so like that's in there as well, but. Generally, like I think if you're doing good things, you're recognizing that everyone who walks this earth has a different story, a different experience, a different life, and like it's just a medium that hopefully helps you understand that, and then hopefully helps you examine your own biases and experiences and privileges in life and be able to not center yourself all the time. That there are many stories that are worthy to share and be shared and be told.
I love that.
That's what I love about it.
So are you working on anything right now?
Am I? Nothing official yet that I can announce. Hopefully soon. But definitely, I'm just about to wrap up my online course and start a new one. It comes September. And then if you're in the Chicago area, some in-person stuff should be happening in October. So
that's so exciting.
Fifth Wall Artistry, I'll be announcing.
Yes.
I just shot a couple of commercials last week. I'm always auditioning for things here and there. So
the audition
hopefully upcoming.
Do you like auditions?
It's a mix.
Okay.
It's a mix, you know. Sometimes it can be like, okay, I just have to get this done as best as I can. And maybe the joyful experience is after, during. And then sometimes, I like am really wanting a project because I feel aligned with it.
Yeah.
Put a lot of care into it. But, you know, maybe a conversation for another day is actually, I've been having this conversation in class recently of like the waiting period. You know, you put your whole heart into something that you care about and you don't always get feedback on it. You don't always get the outcome you're hoping for and how you deal with that and how you move through it, which is often. I mean, like, okay, if you're going to ask me how I'm shaped as a human, I am very good at rejection.
Oh, that's honestly, it is such a
I've
good
been
skill.
experiencing rejection since I was 6 years old. So I have learned how to get through that. And it's, I don't ever say it's like easy, but some things I like really want and I don't get. And
you gotta let it roll off your back.
There has to be a process of like letting go and move through it.
I give myself 12 hours to be really upset.
Yes.
And then I gotta let this go.
Yeah. Or cry about. Like there are definitely some projects
I'm sure
I've cried about, and it doesn't mean that I work really hard not to let it determine my worth.
Yeah.
Like let it convince me that I don't know what I'm doing. Because I do know what I'm doing. But it could be as simple as like, I'm an inch shorter than the person they need.
Yeah.
It could be that. And unfortunately, you'll never know, which is the hard part for actors is you don't always get maybe once in my 30-some years of doing this, have I been told by a casting director, this is why you didn't get it?
Why?
Otherwise, you really won't.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. They can't give feedback on everybody, but
and that's hard.
Would be nice.
Yeah. So it's even more important to build up why you love it and what keeps you going so that in those moments when you don't get answers, which will happen time and time again, you know your why still. It doesn't shake you from your worth of who you are as an artist or an actor.
Yeah. Rejection is such a real. It's
hundreds. And hundreds of those.
Yeah.
And even more than that. And then you'll get a couple yeses in there that will really change your life.
Yeah. I'm big on the what is for me will be and what isn't will not. Yeah. And it's like that's helped me tremendously in every aspect of life, really. Because like whether it's like trying to get a job or dating or like anything. It's like, it's like, oh, you didn't get a role. It's like it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And and something will be though.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
It is hard to look at stuff like that though, especially if you're trying and like I have so many friends right now in the like more so the corporate world that have lost jobs. It's like or like the creative corporate world, a lot of design, a lot of marketing. Like they're losing jobs and they're having a hard time. And it's like you're gonna have a lot of no's before you get a big yes.
Yeah.
And that's stinks, but at the same time, it's like it also gives you an opportunity to maybe hone in on skills.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I'll make one more point too. In class the other day, we were talking exactly about this of someone who is up for a pretty big job and they're in the waiting period and they didn't get it, but then the casting directors came back to them and now are reconsidering them. So they're kind of back in the waiting period. Oh. And honestly, class that night was just like allowing that person to complain about the shittiness of the industry.
Oh, yeah.
And there were no answers given. Like, I didn't have a magical answer of like, well, if you just do this, it'll be perfect. Because unfortunately, like, that isn't perfect. Yeah. And those people are not being considerate of their time and like, you know, what they need in life that they can't just wait around, you know, they need like an answer. Like, please tell me if I have this job or no, like it requires me to move in a week.
Yeah.
So like that, yes. Yeah. So like things like that like are very real in the industry. Yeah. It'll continue to happen until, you know, bigger changes made, but that's a whole much, you know, larger conversation. Yeah. But truly just having a community, a night where they could just scream about it to real people who also get it.
Yeah.
So you could just vent. And
everybody needs a group therapy like that.
Right. Like, and again, we didn't leave the night being like, now you know exactly how to fix this problem, because it wasn't their problem to fix. They're the ones in the waiting game. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you just need like a group of people who get it.
Yep.
And you can complain too.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yeah, we hear you.
It is. It
Sucks.
what is it? Yeah, just being around people who understand a certain negativity.
Yeah.
It allows you to see the positivity in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to say it out loud. And then, where
Yeah.
they started at the beginning of the night frustrated at something outside of class, they were able to end class like just feeling a lot better. Like you had a good cry, like you had a good vent session, that you could like get it off your chest and you didn't have to carry it alone.
We all love that.
Yes.
We all need that. Yeah. Especially like with some, I feel like, it could be so devastating being told no on something that you really, really worked hard and if you're put through rounds and rounds and like, like it's very different for like painting because I'm not like really applying from that way.
Yeah.
So it's
like someone wants it or they don't,
Yeah, exactly. They want it, they get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Wild.
But yeah. Oh, I did want to ask, have you had any like funny audition stories?
Ooh. Yes. Okay. I'll tell the first one that comes to my mind because it's how silly my brain works. So, like I've said before, I'm highly dyslexic and I despise cold readings. Do you know what cold readings are? So basically it's like you didn't get the script ahead of time and you're reading it on the fly. This is very difficult for me. I like a read through if I can. So I had this one director in college who was notorious for just like you'd show up and you get handed the script and go.
Oh my gosh.
That just adds an extra, like I'm pretty quick. Like if you give me 5 minutes, and here's the lesson I took out of it. I should have asked for 5 minutes. I was too, at the time I was like, I don't want anyone to be mad at me. So I'm not going to ask for what I need. Nowadays I'd be like, I need 5 minutes. Yeah. And then I'll be back and I'll give you all I have. Yeah. At that time I didn't know how to ask for what I needed. So I was just launched into it. We were doing, The Three Musketeers, and one of the names is D'Artagnan is the name. So everyone out there, use your imaginations of how this is spelled on paper. There's a big D, there's apostrophe, there's a bunch of other letters. So I had never read any of these names. I had heard them, but reading to hearing process is very different, like in a dyslexic brain. So we're in the middle of the scene and I'm auditioning for this part and we're getting up to the name. And again, I think I'm like the first to go. So I hadn't heard anyone do it yet. If I had heard them do it, I would have had it. But I hadn't heard anyone say the name loud. So I'm approaching it. And when I get nervous of what my brain's going to do, it gets worse. So we're like in the middle of this scene and I'm getting up to I forget what the line is, but I'm getting up to the name and I just go, I don't see the D with the apostrophe. I just see a big A. So my brain quickly fills in a big word that's shaped the same way. And I just say, Armageddon. And the whole room started. Now I'm used to people laughing at my silly brain, so that's not new for me. But the whole room loses it. I know that's the wrong word, but
and you're just like,
page does not say Armageddon. But I'm like, the whole room is dying laughing, and I ended up getting that part, and I think it's because of that mistake. Like I had full conviction. I stayed in the moment. It was the completely wrong word. Had nothing to do with the scene, but I stayed with it. Yeah, and I think that impressed the director, and it was just like, well, give it to her, I love that. So little things like that happen to me all the time, and I've learned to I have to laugh at myself. Like there's no way to get through it. I enjoy how silly my brain is nowadays, and others around me, like, my parents have a word for it. They call it Kelsey brain, and like Landon does that as well, my husband. And so like
I love
little
that.
mistakes like that will always happen, and you just have to kind of go with the flow.
Yeah. I feel like we also don't laugh at ourselves nearly enough.
Oh, we have to. We have
like
to.
when I'll be running and the amount of times that I like accidentally trip or something and I'm like, please tell me someone saw that.
Please.
Like I giggled. I need someone else to giggle. Like no.
Yes.
But it's like, we all trip.
Yeah.
We all stumble on our words.
Exactly.
It's like, if I can't laugh at it, then what do I got?
Exactly. Luckily, I haven't had any like more super embarrassing moments, but more just like I can reflect on moments where I went in for one part and the director saw something else in me and had me read for something else. And then it ended up being like my favorite part I've ever played. So it happened to be early on with, I play a lot of what you would determine as like character roles. So kind of like the funny, you know, the crazy ass or the, you know, the fun and wild roles. And I hadn't played those for a good amount. You know, when I was young, I did a lot of ingenue stuff, which is wonderful, but sorry, ingenues out there, it often can be very boring. It's just like, you know, the love interest, the young person.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like nowadays writing is not so, has expanded a little more, so the archetypes aren't there as much. But yeah, so I remember having a director who must have, I don't know when I made him laugh, but he saw something in me and he was like, actually read for this part. It was the first time I was like, oh, I could be funny and I could be larger than life. And like, it opened up a whole genre for me that I didn't know I loved. So that was super fun. And then since then I was like, okay, yeah, these are the characters I love to play.
Oh, so have you played like the dark villain?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. I can't imagine it.
And they always, so it's so funny because when we were talking about like getting behind people's experience, I have played from the outside perspective of maybe a villainous person. But for me, none of them ever felt very villainous because I still got behind what made them who they are. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like I worked hard to get behind like, well, they're acting this way because of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could get that. I get why I would, you know, tear a guy apart. Like I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I think it was shot. It was hurt. Yeah. October where I played I understudied for the show, but I played a witch who murdered men who like did really bad things in the world. Which, you know, like objectively, okay, she did a lot of murdering on stage. This is epic.
Yeah.
But I get why, you know, I can understand what led her to you know, do this. So yeah, I love, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just love like larger than life characters. And I love like stage magic. So when you can make just like wild things happen on stage or whatever small budget you have.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Have you done any musicals?
I have. I grew up doing mostly musicals.
Because I've heard you sing like at work. Oh, and I'm always I'm like, for sure she's definitely.
Nowadays I say I'm an actor who can sing. I wouldn't say like I don't promote myself as a singer.
Got it.
Singing is very vulnerable for me. And I get really nervous to sing in front of people. But it's also something that like I've enjoyed working with that over the years. So I sing with a group at public libraries often. I think I've told you this.
No, I didn't know that.
No. Okay, so a story for a different day of how we came together. But we're a little group that sings usually for kids of like different artists. One in particular, Ella Jenkins, who is a famous children's folk artist. We sing her songs often. Yeah. And so in scenarios like that, I love because I don't feel the pressure of perfection because it's kids. Yeah. Like they don't care.
They're just stoked to be sung to.
When I'm auditioning for musical theater, the fear of perfection is a little bit more there because there are some incredible singers in the world. I would not put myself in the same category as some of these like incredible musical theater performers. Yeah. But I have been in many projects where I sing. Yeah. And I can carry a tune and I'm very musical. I grew up in the singing in choirs and I love it. Yeah. It's one of those things where like if I made it my career, I think I'd lose the joy for it. So I am always singing. Like I'm not surprised you heard me singing at work.
Yeah.
I'm always singing around, but
I love
it. I don't
because not every actor can sing.
That's true. Yeah. Well,
maybe,
I don't know. I think every human can sing.
Okay.
It's just, again, these arbitrary rules we put on.
You know, I agree. Because I think about it and I'm like, it's just muscles.
Yes.
And I'm like, and just like anything. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, anybody can train that.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, who is it? Who's the redhead? Ed Sheeran?
Yes.
And how he couldn't sing when he started out. And then like he worked really, 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 really hard. I mean, he was so bad. Like, but also like I think about it and I'm like, were you bad or were you just untrained?
There you go.
Like,
yeah.
You know,
I mean, you could consider that with running as well. Like I was literally not run 3 miles right now.
it just popped in my head, but I could trained.
Yeah, exactly. I probably could in some time, but not today right now.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I can run 3 miles right now. I don't.
I only say that because 3 miles is the most miles I've ever consecutively run in my life. And I did it once and I was like, all right, I've done it.
And I've done it.
And that's all I need to do.
Love that.
I hate running, but I love dancing.
Yes. Oh, I love dancing. Oh my gosh, I love dancing.
Yes. So
that's
hopefully
funny.
that answered your question.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. I feel like this has invigorated creativeness in me that I didn't know needed invigorating.
That is my personal goal in life, is to invigorate creatives to continue what lights them on fire.
Dude, inspiring and being inspired is like the best.
Yeah.
It really is. Underrated.
Underrated. Let's do it more.
Yes, please. Yeah, because it's like, if I can inspire one person to do anything, I'm just like, man, I feel like that's my life's purpose.
Yeah.
Is to be inspired. Like I love being able to like look at something and go either, that's hard or challenge that. Like, could I do that?
Yeah.
And I'm feeling that with music. And I'm like, it's something I've always wanted to, like, I've imagined playing an instrument.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I could imagine myself doing this, but I haven't done the connecting of that, of just doing it.
Pick it up.
I gotta pick it up.
Feel it.
I'm gonna
on your
pick it up.
fingers.
That's it.
Yes.
I'm gonna hold it.
Next time we get together, we'll collectively play our 3 chords that we know on our ukulele.
Don't you tempt me with a good time. Yes. I love that.
Yes.
Well, Kelsey, thank you so much
for having me.
The highest stoke. I'm so stoked to have had you on my podcast. I'm so excited that we got to do this. And I hope this inspires someone to get into acting and challenge themselves, because it's such a fascinating realm of creativity.
Yes.
Like it really is just, and you can dive I like that with just any type of art. It's like you can dive as deep as you'd like or stay in the shallow water and, dip your toe in.
Exactly.
But whatever you want, it's whatever you make of it too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I love it. Thank you for having me.
Oh, stoked to have you. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much to Kelsey for coming on the pod and being such a delightful guest. And I'm just feeling so invigorated by our conversation. And if you'd like to catch Kelsey on the old Instagram, her business is called, at Fifth Wall Artistry. And then you can also see her website is fifthwallartistry.com. As you've heard, she is full of knowledge and just a wonderful person to talk to. So definitely, if you are thinking about getting into acting, or if you're already in acting and you have questions, or, if you want to do scene study, hit her up. Very proud of her for starting this business. Very excited to see where it goes. And I always love following her and kind of seeing what her clients are doing as well. So very exciting stuff. So thank you guys so much for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Bye.